All right, Gino, let's do, and again, this exercise is kind of irresponsible because it is all on paper, but we've established that. So we all
like walking on a treadmill backwards.
Right.
It's like you can do it, but should you do it?
Yeah. But it is fun to see like on paper where you think this team is at compared to, the rest on your schedule. But again, 2017, I love to use that one because I had them going 9-7 and they won 13 games. They were the 1 seed and they won the Super Bowl. So again, it's May and we really don't know, how good these teams are going to be, but let's just go through it on paper and see where we think this team is going to be at record-wise. We'll do the win-loss predictions, and we'll start here with the home opener, or I should say season opener, on the road in Detroit against Lions. Gino, I think this is going to be a good win to start off the year. By the way, the first time since 2016 that the Eagles have not started the season against Washington or Atlanta, which is kind of wild.
I love that. I'm so over opening up
me too.
Against both of those teams.
Yeah,
there's 32 weird. Of these things. Like, can we change it up? We got the same 2 for the last 4 years. No.
And I know why they did it with Atlanta in 2018 because it was a rematch of that divisional round game. But
absolutely.
Man, it was so redundant after 6 years.
This game reminds me a lot of that Jacksonville game. I think Nick Foles, the first year when he started in 2014, they started off slow, come back and put up
they were down 17-0 Chad Henne.
Yeah, talk about an all-time trivia question. Like, name the quarterback who started that game. I think this game, you go against Jared Goff, you do a lot of the same things you did last year, implement a lot of that high-profile passing offense that you got now. A game inside a dome, you want to talk about opening it up. Let's start fast. Let's start quick. Sirianni going year over year. You have the continuity. You're going to have a full offseason for Jalen to have we haven't talked about this, Lou. Jalen Hurts for the first time since college, like way back in his days in high school, has had an offensive coordinator for consecutive seasons. Like it's bananas, man. He's going to have the same play caller year over year, which is great to see. So you're going to open up that game with a huge win, in my opinion.
All right. Minnesota, I think they're going to start off the season 2-0. I think they're going to get that win against the Vikings. So that's a pretty favorable 2-game stretch.
I always want to beat Minnesota more than most teams. I think 2017, when they stood on those steps, it was one of the most disrespectful things I've ever seen fans do. And then we go into their building and they beat them. And then we've not had great success against the Minnesota Vikings since that day. And the Justin Jefferson thing, that's going to be fun seeing just that, like, those 4 receivers go at it, man. Like, that's going to be another good game where I could see it coming down to a field goal. I always feel like Minnesota comes down to a field goal. I would probably say 1-1, but primetime at home, first game of the season, 2-0 for me. Like, I think they start hot going out. A 2-game win streak going into that Washington game where energy is going to be a little high.
So we got Wentz coming back against Philly. It is in DC, but you've got the Wentz reunion game, and then you've got the Doug reunion game in back-to-back weeks. Gino, I think they lose that first game against Wentz, and then I think they beat Doug and the Jaguars at home. So I'll say they start off the season 3-1.
Yeah, I was going to say the same exact thing. Like, you could flip-flop it. It'll be tough to start a year 4-0. Like, even 3-0 is difficult. I mean, even winning a game is difficult in this league, let's say. And to do it with so much emotion, like, Doug coming back is going to be a huge story. Like, there's still guys on the team that were coached by Doug Peterson, of course. The Wentz thing in its own right, we know how that's going to go. I would like to say they beat him, but the Eagles tend to be on the wrong side of these things. I always think back to, like, Deshaun Jackson when he came back with Washington. All he said to his dad was, I want to go for he said that quote, I'll never forget it. I want to go for a buck and a touchdown, and he did exactly that.
Did just that. Even McNabb beat him in 2010. Yep. McCoy didn't, though. Sam Bradford and Nelson Aguilar, actually.
That was a close game. That McCoy game was too close for comfort.
Kid, here's trivia. Can you remember who had the game-winning interception? There's no way.
That was...
a former Stanford safety, my man.
Stanford?
It was on
Tyrod
my God,
dude, I know exactly. I know who he is. I'm blanking on his name. Just say his
name.
Ed
Reynolds.
Ed Reynolds. Yes. Oh, dude. Yes. As soon as you said it.
All right. So we both have them at 3-1 before the bye week. Gino, they've got the Cardinals at in Arizona and then at home against Dallas. That's a tough 2-game stretch before the bye. I think they split that. I'll say they get the win against the Cardinals, and they lose against the Cowboys, so they're at 4-2.
I was going to flip them. I'm going to say they lose to Arizona going on the road after the whole Doug thing. The Cowboy game is like, okay, we're playing the division now. These are when the games matter times 2. Like, they count as 2 wins. When you look at the record book, we're going into the bye week. That's going to be, to me, was this team prepared knowing that they have 2 weeks before they play their next opponent in arguably one of the biggest games of the season? You're playing Dallas at home. You get them at home before you have to go travel to Jerry World later in the year. You're not going to see them for nearly 2 months. Leave it all out on the field. I think they win that game. I think Arizona's going to be tough. I think Kyler's just going to start hot. Like, a lot of drama's been around that team, and I just think they're going to put it all to bed with how good
they always start hot. I mean, if you want, the one crappy part there is you wish you could have Arizona later on, because that's when they start to crumble.
Too, yeah. And just for the test of it, like, hey, if we're both like sitting around 3-4 games over 500 each, and then you play them in week 14, that would be a very competitive matchup.
All right, so we both have them at 4-2 at the bye week 7. Pittsburgh and then Houston, 1:00 game at home against the Steelers, then on the road for Thursday Night Football. Gino, I think they should win both those games and get to 6-2.
So then after the Washington game that you said they were going to win the second one, you think they're going to go 3 games in a row there?
Yeah, I think this is when they get hot, right after the bye. I think they're going to run 3 straight and get to 7-2.
Okay. I'm fair with that. I think they do beat Wentz at home. I don't think they lose that one. Houston, we know that is a must win for a team that has expectations. Pittsburgh, to me, is tough, like the interstate rivalry thing, how good Pittsburgh's defense is. If they were to slip up in one of those 3, I think it would probably fall on that matchup.
Yeah,
after the bye week, do you come out a little bit rusty? I could see it there. But, yeah, I mean, if you're at 6-3 or 7-2 at that point, like going into the back half of the stretch where
it gets tougher,
let's split 500 and we could probably make it after that. Right. I think you got to really solidify those wins. So to get the 7-2 would be huge. I just think 6-3 for the state of this team. I don't want to get too overzealous. It would be good through 10 weeks.
And if you want to compete for the division and you're trying to fight for more than a wild card, I think 6-3, 7-2 is where you want to be before you get this stretch where you got
be there.
Yeah, the Colts, Packers, Titans. So that 3-game stretch after Washington on Monday night, Wentz returns to the link. Gino, that's a tough 3-game stretch. I'll say they lose that game. I agree with you that they'll probably be coming down emotionally from that Wentz game, a big win. I'll say they lose to the Colts and Packers and drop both those to go to 7-4.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to look at it. I was going to say that's probably going to be a loss in the Indy game as well. And I don't know what it is, man, but I don't know how that Green Bay offense is going to look. I just genuinely don't. And you lose to Darius Smith, you lose some pieces on defense. Like, I know Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, don't get me wrong, but it's much more than just a one-guy game. I mean, they do bring in some wide receiver weapons, but they're still young. Like, you don't really have anybody established there. Sammy Watkins, like,
by the way, another reunion, the return of Zool.
Yeah, Rasul Douglas coming back to Philadelphia as well. I would say lose to Indy, beat Green Bay. I want to speak it into existence this year.
So you have them then at 7-4 as well?
No, because I had them.
I'm sorry.
One. No, you said 3-0.
So you had them at 6-3 coming out of the Washington game. Yes.
So I have them at 7-4. Yes, good call.
And then the Titans at home, and then the Giants. I think they should at least split there. I'll say they get both wins there. I think you should beat both of those teams. I
do too. AJ Brown. I mean, dude, at home in Philadelphia,
a lot of revenge
against
games
his former team. When it comes to gambling, I'm a huge revenge game guy. I'm going to bet every AJ Brown player.
It's a good strategy.
On LOE 3, it's going to be LOE 11 for AJ Brown.
Yeah.
And every single one is going to be based on him. I think they win that one, and I think they win that Giants game. And this is where I think the stretch could begin after you do have like a little bit of a hiccup where, you drop that Pittsburgh game. Maybe you shouldn't. You drop that Indy game. Yeah, you beat Green Bay. Then let's run. Like, Tennessee is a team you should beat. New York is a team you should beat. Then the last 4 games, I think you have 2 winnable games and then 2 games that could go 50-50.
I agree. Gino, then we wrap it up with the final 4 games, Chicago and Dallas on the road, and then at home to finish off the year against the Saints and the Giants. I think they go, I want to say they're like, I want to say 11-6 is a good season for this team. I don't know. That should put you in the NFC East. You and, probably Dallas, I would say. And maybe if you don't win the division, you're one of the higher wild card seeds. You're not the 7. I'll say they split and go 2-2 there, and they're at 11-6.
Yeah, I think we finished with the same exact record there.
Yeah.
Just went different ways to do it. And that's
they should be able to improve by 2 games this year. I think considering the improvements they made, and if Jalen Hurts does take another step, I think to add 2 more wins is pretty realistic.
I would have to believe that when you look at the structure of the NFC, the whole landscape of the league and pieces moving around and who's acquired who and looking at those rosters, Lou, we're going to have a discussion about the Chicago Bears and their wide receiver situation being worse than what Carson Wentz had in 2016.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
it's got to be close.
Darnell Mooney's great, but it's a really bad situation to be in. Poor Justin Fields, man. Again, some quarterbacks can be really set up to fail, but there we go. The 2022 schedule is officially out. Thank you all so much for tuning into our schedule breakdown. We got another show for you tomorrow as well. 5 episodes all throughout the year, Monday through Friday on all podcast platforms, on YouTube as well. Make sure we have exclusive video content as well on YouTube, so subscribe to our channel and follow us on Twitter. Let us know what you think of the schedule. Let us know what you did with your win-loss predictions, because we all do it, as maybe dumb as it is. We all do it, so hit us up at LockedOnBirds, at GC24_football, and at DiBiase, As always, thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Make sure your second listen is the Locked On NFL podcast. Get the schedule breakdown across the league in under 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get your shows. For Gino Camilleri, I'm Lou DiBiase signing off. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for watching and listening. And let's go, Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.